The Notorious B.I.G, aka Biggie, has been gone for almost 26 years now, and the drama behind the demise has been gruesome and tragic. But despite having happened more than 2 decades ago, piece by piece, information still keeps on sprouting out like hot tea. Just recently, another rapper, Diddy, has been brought into the mix as his name surfaced and got entangled in the big mystery about Biggie's demise. But what does Voletta Wallace, Biggie's mom, have to say about everything? That's what we're going to find out in today's video. But of course, before any of that, make sure first that you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell for more updates and videos like this. Now, let's dive in. It's been almost 26 years since Christopher Wallace, known professionally as the Notorious B.I.G, was shot to death in Los Angeles, and his loved ones are no closer to finding justice. As long as I have life, there's hope. Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, told EW exclusively while promoting the Netflix documentary Biggie, "I have a story to tell. I'll never give up, and I hope when I'm not in this world anymore, my friends and family will carry on the fight. There is always hope." Wallace appeared in the documentary, a celebration of her son's life, including never-before-seen video footage shared by his longtime friend Damion D-Roc Butler, who was in the car when the legendary rapper was shot. Both Butler and Wayne Barrow, executor of his estate, released the documentary to honor their friend whose life was cut short at 24. This might be the last March we celebrate moving forward, focusing instead on May 21st, his birthday, explained Barrow. "We're going to forget March 9th, but not in our hearts. By celebrating his birthday, we can focus on his life." Added Butler, "I feel cheated. I feel like we went through all of that for nothing. I don't feel like this so much anymore, but I did for a long time. Now I can see that it wasn't for nothing. He sacrificed a lot. That's why we're here today, almost 25 years later, because he's still relevant. He's still the hardest working rapper in the game today." Wallace was never a fan of rap or hip-hop, but she listened to the music her son and her friends enjoyed at times. The first time she heard Big Papa, she felt like it was a song she could listen to. Though she wasn't a fan of all the profanity, the Jamaican native joked that they must have played her clean edits of the songs instead of the originals. After losing her Christopher, Wallace found a connection to him through his music. "After his passing, I heard a lot of positive and negative things that were being said about him. As a mother, I only wanted to hear positive things because I'm biased," she explained. "I decided then that I wanted to know more about his music. I read something in a magazine about him, where the writer said something like, 'What do people expect when you give a bum from the ghetto $1 million?' I was very hurt by that. I never raised my son to be a bum or a drug dealer, so I listened to his music, and I asked a lot of questions. I cried like a baby while listening, because what I heard was an intelligent human being." Butler had a very specific idea for the story he wanted to tell via the documentary, but we had plenty more stories and video footage to share in the future. "We definitely have more stories to tell," he teased. "I grew up with him, and I have a lot of childhood stories to share about what we went through. I want people to respect the story we're telling in this documentary, but know that I have a story to tell too, and I definitely have more footage." Recently, Voletta Wallace, the matriarch of the hip-hop industry, has made a groundbreaking statement. In an interview with the Daily Mail, she admits that she feels hurt every single day, realizing that she will never see her son again and that his shooter is still at large. In her emotional statement, she said, "I have a very good idea who shot Christopher, and I genuinely believe that the LAPD knows exactly who did too. They've done their investigation, but they refuse to move forward. I don't know why they have been arrested. Who was involved? It seems to me that it's one giant conspiracy and someone is definitely being protected somewhere down the line. There's no closure for me until the shooter is behind bars and sentenced." Fans are still hopeful in supporting Miss Wallace that someday she would be able to reopen the case. "I hope Miss Wallace builds the strength to reopen the case and get the justice she deserves," says one fan. Biggie's wife, Faith Evans, has made some similar claims. "Well, we know he was gunned down, but we believe that the LAPD knows who's responsible," she stated. After emerging on Sean Puffy Combs' Bad Boy record label in the mid-1990s, the Notorious B.I.G became one of the genre's biggest stars, with hits like Big Papa and Hypnotize. Whatever, Voletta had something to say about Puffy too, as well as Diddy's security guard at the time who was there to witness the chaos. Even from the start, Biggie's mother had a bad feeling about Puffy associating with Biggie. She also wrote in her book, Biggie, Voletta Wallace remembers her son Christopher about it. The truth is, Christopher, Biggie, accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then as a 19-year-old. He had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty, Voletta exposed in her memoir. Christopher Wallace, an American rapper known professionally as the Notorious B.I.G, was assassinated in a drive-by shooting in the early hours of March 9, 1997 in Los Angeles, California. He was only 24 years old. In 2006, Wallace's mother, Voletta Wallace, his widow, Faith Evans, and his children, Tiana Jackson and Christopher Jordan, C.J. Wallace, filed a $400 million second wrongful death lawsuit against the Los Angeles Police Department, alleging that corrupt officers were responsible for Wallace's death. Retired LAPD officer Greg Kading alleged that Marion Suge Knight, the head of Death Row Records, orchestrated the assassination in revenge for the September 1996 demise of Tupac Shakur in a similar drive-by homicide by gunshot. Immediately following the shooting, reports surfaced linking Wallace's demise with that of Shakur 6 months earlier. Due to similarities in the drive-by shootings and the highly publicized East Coast-West Coast hip-hop feud, of which Shakur and Wallace had been central figures. A film entitled Notorious, which talked about the assassination, premiered in 2009. On the eve of the movie's release, ABCNews.com spoke with Voletta Wallace and a producer of Notorious about the making of the movie, her thoughts on the reported East Coast-West Coast rap feud in the 90s, and how she's handling the ongoing mystery surrounding her son's death. When asked in the interview if Voletta was in touch with Tupac's family or friends, she answered, "A few days after my son's death, Afenti Shakur, Tupac's mom, and I started talking. Today, to this moment, we have a wonderful relationship. We talk, we compliment each other, we bless each other. The relationship is as smooth as a baby's bottom." As another year without Biggie passes, his loved one remains steadfast in keeping his memory alive. Wallace, Barrow, and Butler hope fans find comfort in the documentary and learn more about the man who was already a superstar to them before he ever stepped on stage. "Now that his life was taken from him and from us, his heart beats through us," said Barrow. Big was a man, a son, a father, a brother, and a friend. He was a man who wanted to live and wanted to make sure everyone around him came up with him. I don't think he'd have any regrets because he lived life to the fullest, and he did what he wanted to do. I think he'd be proud of everything he accomplished and grateful to everyone who helped him along the way. Both of Biggie and Tupac's lives were both mere examples of life cut short for unnecessary reasons. We can only hope that the rap industry doesn't produce more similar cases in the future. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this.